Well, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the webinar. We're going to give it a minute to let people join and then we'll jump in. But thanks for joining. Well, appreciate everybody joining. And I know there's a few more probably will join, but given that we only have 30 minutes, we want to get started. We'll do a quick introduction about Netwoven, but our main focus here is going to be about Dynamics 365 agents. And we'll jump in and talk a little bit about the sales agents and service agents, and then we have an expert roundtable. So please take the time and submit your Q&A questions, and we'll try to answer them either in the meeting or as a follow-up. But I appreciate everybody jumping in. A little bit about Netwoven. You're fortunate to be in business starting our 25th year. It's been an exciting time that I've been here. We were involved with Microsoft for many years. Many of us were ex-Microsoft. We were fortunate to continue to be involved in the program, certainly with Dynamics 365, as well as the Copilot Jumpstart. And we thought this was a good way to bring those two ideas together as we're getting so much interest in how AI is impacting and evolving within Microsoft, but also with the Dynamics 365. So please, if you have any questions, any of us on the call here or our sales team can help. Just in terms about the presenters, myself, Walter Petrus, I manage the overall business apps team here. Got Lloyd and Jeff, both are experts, and appreciate their taking the time to present some of the technical areas. And we've got Sam and Sandeep also here to answer questions. So please feel free to send them. We're learning with you. The product and the platform is evolving very quickly. We're trying to give you at least the latest that we've seen and also what our customers are asking us for. So again, appreciate the feedback and jumping in. A little bit, about the Frontier firm. I'm sure many of you are exposed to Microsoft ecosystem and their content. And the only reason we wanted to highlight this is it's an area where we're finding so many customers are asking us, how can I take advantage of AI or Copilot, or even just calling it intelligent automation? And we see it as these three major buckets that are pretty well described in the Frontier firm document. We've provided a link here for you to look at. But the biggest piece is, how do we help our customers and your firm take advantage of AI to work side by side with humans? And again, you can say that, and there's a lot of different ways it comes in. I think the initial integration with Microsoft, and certainly the primary with the Copilot and Copilot Chat, were great, generative AI components. But we're starting to see the next evolution of those AI or Copilot components built into the core platform. And so today we'll try to highlight how are the little summaries there, how are there different components that are built into Dynamics, as well as some of the agents now being able to kind of work on behalf of the organization. And that's where we're starting to see the ability to scale a little bit more and see the benefit of it. And then the third area here is, can you really look at potentially redoing some business logic so that you can actually make some decision making and help promote some creativity. So those are the kind of key themes that you'll see in the Frontier firm, and I think it's guiding a lot of the Microsoft products. We see these three areas as the main focus of what we're doing. Empowering people, that's a lot of the early generative AI, as I mentioned, ability to unlock information. There's some work there that we'll talk about how we help people make sure it's secure and there's governance there. The automation at scale, again, we're starting to see the opportunity to leverage some of these early product releases from Microsoft in Dynamics so that it can eliminate some of the repetitive tasks, but also being able to look at how we can extend that to be able to provide relevant information to your customers or to your internal teams based on your own internal data. And then the third part, again, there's some areas now where we've been able to work with our customers to build some AI-driven solutions that can really help provide new service offerings for their customers, as well as customer service and sales, but also in core business operations. So again, these are the three key areas that you probably see. I won't cover all these. This is kind of our overall AI services. I'd say some customers are in that early phase trying to understand some of the risk assessment and governance because there's so much ability to create so many ways to create different agents within your environment. It can be a little bit unruly. It's even maybe more complex to manage than the old Power Platform environments. So there's work there to be done to make sure that you're making sure that the agents are not publishing incorrect data or potentially hallucinating and creating some information that you don't want to share with customers, or disclosing information that you don't want to share. And then as you go further down the pipes, there's the ability to create some of these agentic AI solutions that are custom and can really add value in terms of leveraging a lot of the core data and being able to provide some improvements in your business process. Just to step back briefly, we wanted to highlight that we think there is specifically in the Dynamics platform an opportunity to reimagine sales and services. And as many of you know, a lot of times CRM data or service data is inaccurate. And that unfortunately really does impact the performance of your AI agents. So again, a lot of cases trying to help leverage agents to be able to clean up that data, maybe make sure that there's better information available for your customer service representatives or salespeople, and reduce a lot of the manual tasks to maintain it. So these are kind of the key reasons why specifically in sales and service we think there's an advantage. The two things that you'll hear from Microsoft more and more, and I think it's true, systems have always been, for the last 20 years, have been primarily of systems of record. You can think of a CRM system may be able to tell you what's in the pipeline, but they might not be able to tell you what deals are at risk. And so the change here is really taking some of that core data. And fortunately, in the Microsoft platform, all the sales and service is all on the same base data, and being able to make them more systems of action. Can we leverage the data, turn it into useful knowledge? Can agents be able to kind of consolidate that information and present it back in a more usable way for your sales and services teams? And then finally, can Copilot be a way of being able to query or ask what ifs and be able to kind of come up with suggestions? So that's going to be the theme you'll see from Microsoft in being able to create them more systems of action. With that, today, we're going to primarily focus on two major components. You're probably familiar with all the different Copilot components that are out there. There's obviously Copilots for M365 and certainly agents for development in Power Platform. We're focusing primarily going to be on sales and customer service. And then, of course, being able to leverage a lot of the core platform underneath with Azure OpenAI and a lot of the infrastructure that's M365. The biggest piece that we want to kind of highlight is sometimes Copilot can be overused. In a lot of cases, we're talking about AI is going to be as intelligent automation. You see here on the right, the ability to create a summary for the case, or in this case, for a sales record. So a lot of times it's really being able to generate those summaries. It's using the same Copilot infrastructure and same governance and others, but it's going to come out in different ways. And so we try to, when speaking to customers, sometimes we try to minimize the focus on the word Copilot and try to highlight where there's some intelligent automation, being able to provide different components and summaries available for your sales and service teams. On the right, though, you'll see there is a Copilot pane, similar to your chat pane you might have in other applications. And so that's another place where you'll see it integrated into the Dynamics platform. That's a little bit of background, and now I'm fortunate to have Lloyd talk a little bit about how Dynamic Sales leverages Copilot. Lloyd?
Yep, thanks, Walt. So when we say Copilot in sales or sales agents, we are referring to an umbrella term of AI assistants within the Dynamics 365 sales. If you look at the top row, you'll notice the familiar roles within a sales organization. Each role focuses on a different part of the sales journey. A sales development representative or SDR needs help in researching and qualifying leads. A sales rep needs help in closing deals and managing follow-ups, while a sales leader needs insights across accounts and territories. So what Microsoft has done here is map the Copilot agents to each of these roles and their specific responsibilities to support their distinct needs in each stage of the sales cycle. It starts with the sales qualification agent. In the early stages of the sales lifecycle by supporting the SDR responsible for generating the pipeline. It automatically researches new leads, enrich their data, and apply qualification criteria like ICP or ideal customer profile, and apply the BANT sales qualification framework. The goal of this agent is to help SDRs spend less time on research and more time talking to the right prospect. Once the lead is qualified and handed off to the sales rep, the sales close agent assists with the discovering use cases, assessing the health of the deal, like a risk, and tracking the deal's progress. It can even suggest next steps or help with the negotiation and proposal follow-up. Finally, we have the sales research agent to support the sales leaders and managers. It works at a higher level by analyzing account performance, territory insights, and pipeline health. It gives leadership the visibility they need to coach teams and plan strategically. So think about these agents as sales assistants, not as replacements to the sales personnel, designed to augment the sales team by handling the repetitive work so that the team can focus on building the customer relationship and driving revenue insights. So I'll go ahead and share my screen for the demo. Okay. So in this demo, we're gonna walk through how the sales team can use a Microsoft Copilot agents to streamline the early stages and late stages of the selling activities. And we'll start with the basic prerequisites, configure the key agents, and then show how they work together. So in this environment, certain feature needs to be enabled, such as the Bing search consent, Copilot feedback, AI agents, AI prompt features, AI insight cards. And then we also need to make sure that the Dynamics 365 is using the modern UI. Part of the prerequisites is making sure that the security roles for both the admin and the sellers are assigned appropriately. Now, in order to proceed, the Dynamics 365 admin needs to have a Copilot Studio license, and then your environment needs to have enough Copilot Studio capacity to run the agent. Capacity refers to the quota or how many AI interactions your organization can perform in a given environment, and capacity is managed through the Copilot credits, which can be set as either a prepaid pack or a pay-as-you-go. So once you have that capacity, this create button will become enabled. And then you have the option to create either a sales qualification agent or a sales closing agent. Notice right now that my screen has opportunity research agent because the time we created this agents last month, it's called opportunity research agent, which now has evolved into the sales closing agent. When you select a research agent, there's going to be two modes. The first one would be research only mode, where the agent researches, scores the lead or the opportunity, generates summaries and recommendations, and hands it off to the seller. When you select research and engage mode, that is where the agent actually starts interacting with the potential lead by sending personalized outreach email and nurtures its response. Please note that when you select the mode, you can upgrade from research only to research and engage later, but not the other way around. So once you have those selected, all the other prerequisites will start showing up. A lot of times the instructions are pretty straightforward, but sometimes those instructions, so for example, creating an app in Azure or creating an app in User and then associating the shared mailboxes, some instructions you would kind of have to read between the lines or be much more aware on how you set up your Dynamics 365 environment. I'm just going to go over a couple of sections in here that are important to note, put note. So agent profile is identifying what your agent does. The products describes the value proposition, which tells you about your products and how it's supposed to communicate with your clients or with your leads. Okay, now I'll go ahead and do a quick demo on what the agent does. So for example, in here, I do have a bunch of leads. And in here, we said that part of the ICP or the selection criteria is to identify leads that are cold. So once the agent identifies which leads to work onto, it will start reaching out to those particular leads. It will also do some research about the lead and its organization. So for example, I have here a record under my name. So if I click full research, it will provide you information about that lead and the company. So for example, this is about Fabricam. It will provide you information such as the background of the company, the annual revenue, and their strategic priorities or their plan for the upcoming years. It also provides competitor insights, such as SWOT, so that you are able to do a much more informed decisions. The other thing is being an AI agent, it will also show you what we call an AI explanation telling you where those information comes from. So part of the agent that I enabled in here is what we call engage. So if I scroll down on our lead record, you will notice that the agent is actually interacting with this lead. So for example, it starts reaching out, sending out email to this particular lead record. And then if it does not provide a response, it will do a follow-up. And then it provides response back to that lead and informing the seller to do certain actions such as following up with this particular lead.
That's a good example where
Yep.
data needs to be up to date, right? Your product information and other things to make this more compelling.
Correct. So the more information you have about this particular lead, the better the AI will respond back or provide information back. Okay, that's it.
Thanks, Lloyd. All right, let's bring this up. Well, now we want to talk a little bit about the services agents. And let me just get back to that slide. Hopefully you can see my slides. So a little bit, working with Jeff here, I guess, Jeff, you can cover this slide, talking a little bit about all the components.
Yeah, I mean, so as we get into customer service, and one of the things here with the slide that points out is all of the self-service, the intelligent routing, the assisted service, going into field service are really all good components of customer service. Where a lot of the times when you think of customer service, it is just the assisted, it's the case management, and that dynamics information. And as we're kind of going through here and in different ways that we're communicating with our customers, whether it be through live chat, social, email, text message, a phone system, and or Teams. Now, and a lot of these upcoming agents that we're going to talk about are really kind of going to be driven around the email and live chat type of communication as we're capturing the intent of the case through the origin that the case was created. Well, I don't know if you have other
No, it's
information
good.
you want
Good
to add.
overview. Yeah, just to jump in. Go ahead.
Yep. And then coming into our additional our service agents. So the four main service agents within customer service are customer intent. The customer intent agent, for the most part, is capturing, is reading through the conversation, whether it be through the live chat or through the email string, and it's capturing that information and starting to provide some additional questions or follow-up for your customer service representative to ask in that chat or in those emails. And I'll show a kind of an example of that here shortly. The next agent is our customer knowledge management agent. And this agent's primary use case is really to automate the creation or updating of knowledge articles that are stored inside of Dynamics. And this really becomes super important, because it's automating the knowledge management. So your service representative isn't taking most of his time in keeping up to date on these articles. The Copilot agent is managing that for you as you're working within the case and communicating back with the customer. The case management agent is more of an automated way for management of the cases, on how the case is getting generated initially, and then again monitoring through the conversations where I'm updating. Maybe the customer responded back to an email saying, hey, this is an urgent request now. Well, the case management agent will read that sentiment from that email communication and automatically update the priority of that case. It will update the additional descriptions or other data elements, attributes that you've selected the agent to kind of manage as well. As well as it can automatically close the case, again, based off of the communication, whether the customer has confirmed that, thank you, this case is resolved. The agent will read that through the communication and automatically close that case. And then we have the quality evaluation agent, which is constantly going through and assessing, making sure that we're providing, quality information back to our customer. So just coming through, and again, kind of the customer intent agent is really discovering, how the cases are created and maintained. Our knowledge management is, again, boosting the data that is stored within Dynamics for our information. I'm going to jump to our share my screen here. So as we're talking through, so our intent management, and this is just a screenshot currently, but we see that this case was automatically created from our case management based off of a conversation. And then over here on the right, we have some intent-based suggestions. So as we're going through and communicating with our client, the intent agent is prompting us, hey, make sure that we're checking our connections. We're validating that the client has checked the connections. The agent is reading the response and is moving on to the next question. So kind of more as an ongoing kind of checklist for our representatives to kind of step through and then request a solution from Copilot. As we get more into kind of the generation of the case management, so here we see this is a case that was created by the case management agent, and then also is constantly being monitored and updating certain data elements here. So in our form assist, we see that that the case contains saved AI changes based off of our email communications, and some additional just updates with the form assist where it's going to automatically update it based off of our recent activities, any files that I might upload, or additional content here. In addition to the just general case management, we still have our general Copilot for Service, where it's going to summarize the overall case for us. And this is going to read all details and information of the case, including all of the stored activities below. So if I'm new to this case, or I'm escalating it up to my manager, I can just get a high level snapshot here of everything that, the summary of the case. As I scroll down, I'm also getting a kind of roll up of all of the activities below. So I might not need to read each individual email, but I can get the overall, context from Copilot directly on our form, with Copilot for Service. In addition, over here on the right-hand side, we do, as we open up cases, Copilot will try to provide some additional insights. Now, we don't have a knowledge base article for this case, so there isn't any additional information that's provided. Now, when I go ahead and resolve this case, I'm going to go ahead and resolve this case. So it's giving me a prompt. I have one open activity. I'm not going to be concerned with it. We've resolved. We've provided the information. I'm going to go ahead and resolve. I'm going to put in my resolution. And as this gets processed, this then kicks in our knowledge management piece that's going to go through, and it's going to potentially suggest or draft an additional knowledge article if one doesn't exist, or it's going to update an existing one. Now, just so we don't have to wait for that agent to kind of go through its processing, I have a separate case here. If I look back down into our timeline, we can see that the case was closed, and then the article was automatically generated based off of the closure of the case here. And here's our knowledge article. I also will get a notification within Dynamics saying that the knowledge is ready for us to review, which then we can go into draft. You can also set up the agent to automatically approve the knowledge base article. Now, I think it would be, in most cases, our recommendation is to still go through more of that overall approval process, especially within the knowledge articles. Go ahead and open up this article.
Jeff, we're close on time here, so.
Yep. Yeah, so the next big thing, so as we're going through with the article, is if this is still in draft, I can go ahead and connect. Maybe I need to talk with Sandeep or Walt about this article. I could go ahead and I could create a new connected chat, and I could add in, say, Sandeep, right? Do you have any and start building out our article. You notice that AI has automatically provided the additional information when I connected the chat to the knowledge base article. And then the last piece here, coming back into our case, is our Smart Assist. So as we're working through cases, now this is a closed case, I can get suggestions of, hey, there's already these potential to articles that could be related and or similar cases as I'm doing my research. For any additional cases, I could email the representative that worked on that case directly within my case. Or if I need to copy my knowledge base article and email it directly to our client, again, I can do that here. And that's.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, real quick, I appreciate everybody's time. I know we're at the half hour. We just want to take 2 more slides and answer a couple quick questions here. I think at the end, there's quite a few things that, quite a few things. I do want to talk qualification agent. It does a lot. A quality evaluation agent does a lot to help managers. There's a lot to be discussed there. I'm sorry we didn't cover that. 2 things to be aware of. Here's the good, bad, and ugly to a certain extent, a very high level. Great, quick value that can be added by these agents. You can see the potential benefits here. There's work to be done to make sure the data is correct. It's integrated security, and it's definitely ability to extend it. This is paid preview, so we just warn you that there's a lot of changes. It happens fast. It's evolving, but some of the core features that are in public, that are in general availability, certainly don't have that variability. But there are regional differences, GCC high differences. So again, we just have to kind of work with you or whomever you're working with to make sure that you understand what's available and what the costs are associated with it, because it does take quite a bit of configuration to make sure it's right as it's in this paid preview. General availability, you probably won't have those issues, but if you're trying to test it, definitely worth investing some time to research how you're setting it up. Real quick, again, for us, we try to help our customers understand where AI can help people in a lot of the work they're doing. I'd say there's a lot of briefings that Microsoft offers, as well as we can, to help you understand how these agents can help your organization. I would encourage you to look for use cases that are very targeted so that you're not overwhelmed with all the different components. And if there's ways that we can help, certainly give you a quick 30-minute overview and be able to talk to you how you can create a quick program for your organization. With that, we do want to be respectful of time. If anybody sends any questions, we're happy to answer them as a follow-up. I think to be with respect for others, I know there's a lot of people still on the call. We appreciate you staying. Obviously, we're excited about it. There's a lot to be shown here. We just got a chance to scratch the surface, but I will just check and see if there's any quick questions here, and if not, we'll conclude it and be happy to, no questions came up. So we have a bunch of questions that have come in from other conversations and customer meetings, but with respect to time, we'd be happy to follow up with any of those. We appreciate everybody staying here. Thank you for your time, and thanks to the presenters. Have a great day.